The internet is pretty big. It's made up of about 60 trillion individual pages, has about 300 exabytes of data. What's an exabyte? Well, 1 exabyte can store about the same amount of data as 1.5 million laptops. So how in all this vast sea of information are visitors supposed to find your website? Well, today we're going to start talking about inbound marketing, and it all starts with how Google works. Hi, this is Jeff Lovett, and today I'm starting a new series about inbound marketing. What is inbound marketing? Well, it's a relatively new marketing concept which, instead of you buying ads or purchasing mailing lists and praying for leads, inbound marketing relies on creating quality content that people will discover when they go searching for your product or your company on the internet. Now, I'm going to be referring a lot to this book during this series. It's called Inbound Marketing, and it's written by two guys named Brian Halligan and Dharmesh Shah. They're the founders of a company called HubSpot, and I really consider them to be the leading experts when it comes to the subject of inbound marketing. Now, before we start talking about specific inbound strategies, you need to know how people find you online. So in this video, I'm going to give you a quick lesson on exactly how Google's search engine works. Now, I'm just going to focus on Google because, let's face it, that's really the only one that matters. Google is responsible for about 80% of all the searches on the internet, and they are without question the very best at it. Now, what I'm going to share with you is a very, very simplified primer and how people find you on Google. But what you're going to learn in the next 2 minutes is really going to change how you will see the internet from here on out. Are you ready? All right, let's go. All right, Google does two basic things. First, it crawls the entire internet, all 60 trillion pages of it, looking for pages, and then it indexes everything it finds. It does this continuously. Secondly, it uses software to process user searches to find the best matching web pages from this index. If Google thinks the information on your page is the highest quality result for a search query, it'll list that page in the search results. The 10 best on the first page, the second best on the next page, etc. So how does Google decide if your website or your page is better than all the other similar pages out there? Well, it uses a combination of two things: relevance and authority. Relevance is decided by how close the content and keywords on your site match the terms that are being searched. For example, if you're a dentist in Detroit and someone types in dentist in Detroit into a Google search, your site is a lot more relevant than, say, a dentist in Fort Lauderdale. Now, the authority of a page is a measure of how important and how much authority that's given that page in the eyes of Google. Now, this is the heart of their algorithm, and Google calls it PageRank. It's named for Larry Page, one of the guys that founded Google. In a nutshell, it works kind of like this. Google is looking for how many other sites have linked up to your website. How many people have mentioned you in social posts? How many people have watched your videos? How many people have reposted your content? There's about 200 different factors that determine how Google ranks you, and most of them are very top secret. But we do know this: the more threads that connect you to pages and mentions on the internet, especially to sources that also have a lot of other threads connecting them to a lot of other sources on the internet, the more authority Google says you have. I've shared this with many of you before. Google does give higher weight to video content. Now, there's two reasons for this. First, Google owns YouTube, so it just makes sense for them to point people towards the site to increase their revenue. And secondly is because that's what people want to see: video. One recent poll showed that when asked what kind of content people prefer, 76% of them said they'd like to watch a video over reading something. And that's exactly what makes Google so much more popular than the other search engines. They simply provide the best answers to the questions. So much of what they deliver to people is video. And that's why Google is so synonymous with web searches. They deliver the content people want. So that's basically how Google works, and why you as a small business owner must start creating quality, relevant content and using the right keywords so that you'll be discovered and indexed by Google. And that's basically what inbound marketing is all about. Now, we're going to dive into inbound marketing in more depth in the next video, so I hope you'll be watching.